A 13-year-old takes on Everest and sets off a debate. For many 13-year-old boys, the journey from childhood to manhood begins with their first job, serving feathery whisker or discovering girls. But for Jordan Romero, it is unfolding an attempt to become the youngest person to reach the summit of Mount Everest. On Saturday, he departs base camp with his father, Paul Romero, and Paul's companions and professional adventure racing teammate Karen Logan. This was not my idea. He's provided the inspiration and motivation to keep it going, Paul Romero wrote recently in an email message from base camp. Jordan is taking us on the 7 summits quest, and we are merely facilitating his wishes. Jordan's attempt to climb the highest mountains in all 7 continents, and particularly his attempt of Everest during the narrow window of the spring climbing seasons, has stimulated a Russian dialogue in the climbing community and beyond. How young is too young? And does a 13-year-old have the physical and emotional maturity to take on the extreme altitude endeavors? And yet, Tim Jordan from Big Bear, Caliph, has already climbed 5 of the 7 summits over the last 3 years, starting with Kilimanjaro 19,340 in Africa, Elbrus 18,510 in Europe, and Kosikor 7,310 in Australia. If Jordan, who is 5 feet 10 inches and 160 pounds, crossed Everest 29,035 feet, climbing Vision Massive 16,067 in Antarctica, could complete an achievement accomplished by about 2,200 people. I really have dreamed about standing on top of the world since I was a little kid. Jordan wrote in an email message before leaving base camp at about 17,000 feet. I don't feel like I'm rushing. Everest just happen to come now when I am 13, and I don't think age matters so much. Other teenagers have stood atop Everest and completed the 7 summits in January. Johnny Collinson, at 17 years old from Utah, became the youngest person to do so. Jordan had hoped to reach the summit as early as Friday, but on Tuesday he was waiting out high winds at an advanced base camp at about 21,300 feet, pushing back his attempt to Sunday. Eric Wilhelm has climbed the 7 summits in 2001, became the only blind person to reach the top of Everest. He is among those pondering the wisdom of allowing a 13-year-old to attempt such an arduous and dangerous feat. My gut reaction was that 13 seemed too young to have emotional maturity to decide to be there himself. Winner said, "When I am up the mountain, I had people like one of my heroes, Ed Vister, saying I was going to slow my team down and kill them and myself, so I won't be a dream crusher." While some in the scientific and climbing communities worry about the effects of severe altitude on children, there is no conclusive evidence that an adolescent is at greater risk of getting acute mountain sickness, a potentially fatal condition that mountaineers can face at high altitude. The most recent statement about extreme altitude climb for a 13-year-old could be those who don't know what to expect, said Dr. Mikhail Kazakov, who specializes in pediatric pulmonology at Maimonides Infant and Children's Hospital of Brooklyn. However, judging by Jordan's very adult height and weight, and his suggested level of physical endurance and training, we may expect him to do as far as an adult during the average challenge. But emotional stress is completely a different story. A study by the National Institution of Mental Health using magnetic resonance image to create three-dimensional image of the brain and brain development from childhood to adulthood found that during adolescence the brain undergoes dynamic development in areas affecting self-control, decision-making, emotions, and risk-taking behaviors. Children are physically strong teenagers who lack an unfinished fairly raw power without brakes, light, or ability to maintain equal pressures on the gas pedal, said Dr. Michael Seabray, psychologist and the author When Things Get Crazy with Your Teen. The why, the how, and what to do now. Most 13-year-olds thus don't have the wiring to make cognitive life and death decisions and are not truly able to understand what they are signing on for. Although Jordan is typical 8th grader with floppy blonde hair, who forgets to shower and brush his teeth and loves listening to Carly P and JG's with friends, Legends fortifies this a mature mountaineer. Jordan is ready. He's strong, smart, calm, and has a great team surrounding him, she said. Legends say they had rehearsed making it to the top as well as turning back. 2 years ago, or even last year, I couldn't bring him to Everest, but now I feel good about his skills, strength, and mental abilities, she said. Jordan was 11 when he climbed Alaska Denali, 21,320, considered the world's coldest mountain. Since then, his preparation for Everest has come with a compromise. When I am training and know my friends are hanging out, I kind of miss this, but I will have plenty of time for that, said Jordan, who brought along a rabbit fruit, a good luck Tibetan prayer necklace, a cross from his grandfather, and a pair of kangaroo teeth from his friend's nigger. I know the consequences of mistakes, but I never feel anxious because my team is prepared and I try to remember each song for fun, he said. Bradley, the psychologist and former soldier, compared young ultra-achieving athletes like Jordan to students at military schools. In many ways, Jordan acts like a small adult, saying the right things and seems to have it all together. But he's still a 13-year-old boy, rushing with testosterone to take on challenges, he said. Teenagers have thin veneers that can easily crack down from stress and lack the resilience or adhere to barbacks from trauma. So, why take this risk? Romero, 41, who is critical care flight paramedic specializing in attitudes, psychology, and care, see his son's ambition not just as an adventure of a lifetime, but as an international education. If Tim Jordan submits, it would be tremendous. I can't deny that, he said. But he will have visited all 7 continents, experienced cultures, language, politics, food, and people. The team members have not hired Western guys and instead are relying on their adventure racing expedition experience and 3 attitude savior shepherds to carry gear, scout the route, and set up camps and lines if necessary. Jordan has now been about 22,841 feet, which he achieved 2 years ago when he climbed a Aconcagua, the highest peak in South America. On Everest, he is there taking the technically challenging and less used northeast route. It's begin in Tibet rather than in southeast Nepal approach used by Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norway when they became the first to reach the summit in 1953. The route sold for about $6,000 on climbing permits, and Tibet has no Everest climbing age limit, while the Nepal's government age minimum is 16. The cross of the north side, the so-called 3 steps, beginning at 27,890 feet, it is technically tricky and potentially treacherous rock climb along the steep, exposed northeast ridge. Here, Jordan will use fixed ropes to pull his body up the windy first step, then scale a 10-foot rock slab before climbing the 30-foot Chinese ladder, a major ladder set up by a Chinese climbing party in 1975 that is in over 10,000-foot drop, with climber parts clicking rung after rung in the thin air, and the summit less than 800 feet away. Maintaining focus and control will be critical, and getting down will be tricky. I am happy to be doing something big, Jordan wrote before heading up the mountain. If I wasn't sitting here at base camp, I could be sitting in the classroom learning about darling participles.